may ugali at sa kaalaman siguradong approve, makinig at malaman salita ng Diyos. Ilaw ng sanlibutan, hatid namin sa inyo kaibigan. Pakinggan ito sa himpilan. Your life, your radio, it's live radio, not just radio, it's live radio. Your life, your radio, it's live radio, not just radio, it's live radio. It's live radio. Live radio.
Ito ang DZAT 1512 kHz Live Radio, ang pinakamalakas na AM radio station sa Southern Tagalog Region.
The following program is a paid broadcast. The statements, topics, and contents of the program are not necessarily the beliefs of this radio station.
Unico Quezon.
Autentikong walang mintis. Sa balita at isyu, sumasakit-sit. Autentikong walang mintis. Araw-araw, walang patid. Lunes hanggang Biyernes.
Alas 7 hanggang alas 8 ng umaga sa DZAT Live Radio 1512 kHz at sa telebisyon.
Autentikong walang mintis. Joey Lipa at Larry Karangalan. Sa balita at komentaryo maiinit. Kabayan, saan ka ga? Ay di na sa autentikong walang mintis. Mga balitang hindi gawa-gawa o haka-haka. Sa issue at komentaryo may basihan at totoo. Joey Lipa at Larry Karangalan.
Ay aming hiling at dalangin sa ngalan po ng inyong bugtong na anak na si Jesus. Amen. Sa ngalan ng Ama, ng Anak, ng Espiritu Santo. Amen.
Alam ng puso sa Magandang sa ating lahat. I request our Secretary, Bernie Sia, to recognize the presence of the members.
Honorable Clara Ortega Jr., Honorable Julius J. Luces, Honorable Vinette Alcalanaka, Honorable Maria Iliana Nuan-Asisto, Honorable Ferdinand Pelado, Honorable Bernardo Suarez, Honorable John Joseph Aquilino, Honorable Isaias Cubana,
Mr. Presiding Officer, Board Member Jet Suarez has manifested that he will be attending online.
Noted.
Honorable Harold Picardo, Honorable Rodrigo Burgos, Honorable Angelo Duarte, Honorable Irineo Bugaling, and Honorable Irish Armando. Mr. Presiding Officer, we have a call to conduct this board meeting.
Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary. Making quorum, I would like to recognize the Honorable Majority Floor Leader sa Yasuban.
Thank you, Mr. Presiding Officer. Magandang hapon po sa inyo sa kagalang-galang ng mga kasapi ng Sangguniang Panlalawigan, kasama na po ang ating himan at ang ating mga piling panawin. Mr. Presiding Officer, we are on item number 7 of our agenda, pagpapatibay sa Journal ng Pulo ng Sangguniang Panlalawigan ng Quezon. Mr. Presiding Officer, I move that we consider October 16, 2023 Journal as approved. We dispense with the reading, consider the same as approved, subject to amendments as may be proposed by the members pursuant to our internal rules.
Thank you, Majority Floor Leader. There's a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes or our journal held last session, and likewise consider the same as approved. Any second?
Any second po. It is unanimous seconded, Mr. Presiding Officer.
Seconded. Motion approved.
Thanks, Sir Presiding Officer. We are on item number 10, pagbasa at pagtukoy sa mga kinaukulang lupon. For first reading, Sir Presiding Officer, may we request the distinguished Secretary to please read items under letter A.
First in our agenda po, Mr. Presiding Officer, is a letter dated October 18, 2023 from our Provincial Governor, Honorable Angelina Digaltan, NDMPLH, to the Honorable Members of the Sangguniang Panlalawigan, through the Vice Governor and Presiding Officer, Honorable Vice Governor Anacleto Alcala III, with the subject matter respectfully requesting for the passage of an ordinance certified as urgent.
Tingnan niyo po yung
entitled the Ordinance Establishing the Ambulance and Patient Transport Vehicle Network of
Tingnan niyo po,
Quezon.
nakaganto na po yung test.
Sir Presiding Officer, considering the same is certified as urgent, I move that it be referred to Committee on Health and transferred to the calendar for second reading.
Thank you, Mr. Elabel.
Ano po?
There's a motion for the inclusion of this matter for second reading because of its urgency and refer the same to the Committee on Health as the lead committee. Any comments? None? Any second?
It is unanimous seconded, Mr. Presiding Officer.
Motion approved.
Second po in our agenda is a letter dated October 16, 2023 from our Provincial Governor to the Honorable Members of the Sangguniang Panlalawigan requesting for the passage of a resolution certified as urgent to authorize her to negotiate, apply for loan, and to borrow funds from the Development Bank of the Philippines to finance the implementation of various development projects for tremendous economic and social impact on the lives of Quezonians in the amount of 2,500,000,000 pesos for establishment of a water supply system project amounting to 1,400,000,000 pesos, a construction, rehabilitation, and upgrading of health facilities amounting to 600 million, health information system including servicing of the computer hardware, 50 million pesos, construction of agricultural and veterinary facilities, 150 million pesos, and an acquisition of various heavy equipment amounting to 300 million pesos.
Mr. Presiding Officer, by way of background, before this item, there was a initial letter coming from the Office of the Provincial Governor. However, the amount was 2 billion pesos. The same apparently was withdrawn by the Office of the Provincial Governor. So we will need to first dispense with that initial letter, which is categorized as LT-19-1421-APP. With no objections from the members, Mr. Presiding Officer, I move that we will archive the initial letter that was sent to us, that was officially withdrawn, before we consider item number 2.
Thank you po, yeah.
Archive and delete the same.
Archive and delete the same from our pending agenda, Mr.
And
President.
this will substitute to the former.
Yes, Mr. Presiding Officer.
Okay, that's the case. Any comments? Objections? None? Any second to the request?
Any second po, in case unanimous under Mr. Presiding Officer.
Approved?
Mr. Presiding Officer, we will now consider item number 2. This matter is certified as urgent, and the amount to be negotiated with the Development Bank of the Philippines is 2.5 billion pesos for the improvement, development of several programs, projects of the Office of the Governor. This matter is more emphasized with the presence, Mr. Presiding Officer, and I would like to recognize the presence this afternoon. We are honored by the presence of no less than the Provincial Administrator, a former colleague, member of the Sangguniang, PA Manny Butado. He is joined by the ever-dashing debonair Provincial Budget Officer, Mr. Presiding Officer.
Sino dyan?
Mr. Diego Salas. To the left of the Provincial Administrator is our PPDC, Engineer Russell Nance, and at the back, Mr. Presiding Officer, is the Executive Assistant of the Provincial Governor, Mr. John Lozano. Because of the urgency, Mr. Presiding Officer, I move that we suspend our internal rules to give way to the consideration of this matter. I so move.
Thank you, Edmund Pen. And second, the motion to suspend our rules. Duly seconded and approved. Session is, the internal rules is suspended.
Thank you, Mr. Presiding Officer. We will now consider item number 2. This matter, Mr. Presiding Officer, is a urgent request coming from the Provincial Governor to authorize her to negotiate, apply, and to borrow funds from the DBP to finance, Mr. Presiding Officer, various developmental projects that would have tremendous economic and social impact on the lives of the Quezonians. As provided, Mr. Presiding Officer, in our agenda, the amount is 2.5 billion to be spread across the programs of water supply, health facilities, health information system, agriculture facilities, Mr. Presiding Officer, and the much-needed heavy equipments necessary for the improvement of our farm-to-market roads. With this, Mr. Presiding Officer, and since this will be an initial authority, this is not an actual loan, this is an initial authority to authorize our dear Governor to start negotiating and securing the necessary financial instruments, including the BLGF, the amount that the province can borrow, and for the governor to be authorized to negotiate directly with DBP. Because of that, Mr. Presiding Officer, I have the honor to move for the adoption of a resolution authorizing our provincial governor to negotiate, apply, borrow funds from the DBP to finance the implementation of various developmental projects in the amount of 2,500,000,000 pesos.
You are moving for the passage of the resolution.
Yes, Mr. Presiding Officer.
Before we proceed with that matter, may we hear any comments first, please? For the members of this assembly. Yes, Attorney Alabang, you're right.
Yes, Mr. Presiding Officer. With the permission of the majority floor, made this representation, made some clarification and query regarding this item number 2 in our agenda regarding this loan of our province, Mr. Presiding Officer.
With pleasure, Mr. Presiding Officer, to the distinguished minority leader.
First clarificatory question, Mr. Presiding Officer. Is resolution sufficient in order to give way to this request from the executive department? Is it an ordinance which is much needed in this particular action which affects the whole province, Mr. Presiding Officer, as against this resolution wherein it only pertains to a particular matter, Mr. Presiding Officer?
If I may reply, Mr. Presiding Officer.
Yes, please, Mr. Majority.
The matter is being requested, Mr. Presiding Officer, is a resolution considering that the procedure of the law, Mr. Presiding Officer, is a temporary in nature as against a permanent ordinance which would bind the province. This is also being requested by financial institutions, Mr. Presiding Officer, katulad po ng DBP, which only requires a simple resolution to authorize the governor, the local chief executive.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Presiding Officer. With such clarification made by the good majority floor leader. Number 2, this first to my experience, Mr. Presiding Officer, I noticed that the financial institution, when our province will enter into a contract loan, is DBP. That is Development Bank of the Philippines. Mr. Presiding Officer, usually our province enters this kind of contract with Land Bank of the Philippines, LBP. And as far as I can remember, perhaps I'm very thankful because Administrator Manny Butardo is here, wherein he was the former majority floor during my, I think, second term, Mr. Presiding Officer. Wherein we, the Sangguniang Panlalawigan then, or before, noticed that the interest rate being applied by Land Bank of the Philippines is higher than other financing institutions. And what did the executive, the Sangguniang Panlalawigan, and the Land Bank of the Philippines did during that time? Land Bank decreased the amount of interest rate, Mr. Presiding Officer. Ibinaba. Sapagkat alam niyo naman, Mr. Presiding Officer, 1% is very big amount if billions of pesos is concerned. Ang isang porsyento po ay nagkakahalaga, applied simple mathematical computation, is about 10 million pesos, Mr. Presiding Officer. Hindi, so 1 billion lang.
1%
or 1 billion.
Yes.
Kaya alam niyo, Mr. Presiding Officer, yung aking, ano yung every year nating dinideclare? kumula na ako po 10 milyon ng aking salin. Ito po, pag naka 1% sa 1 billion, 10 billion po agad, Mr. Presiding Officer. So my point, Mr. Presiding Officer, my point of clarification, how much is the interest rate that DBP will apply to this 2.5 billion loan as against with the Land Bank of the Philippines, Mr. Presiding Officer? Sapagkat yung mga bangko, Mr. Presiding Officer, magkaiba po ang interest na. Kaya ito po yung akin naman po tinaklaro. Hindi po ako tumututol, ako po'y talagang sumusuporta rito. Ayan, nakulit yung bukal klaro. Ay maaari po ba nating malaman, Mr. Presiding Officer, mabutit narito po natin mga bisita upang ating pong malaman sapagkat kahit yung 0.5% lamang ang diferensya, Mr. Presiding Officer, I think the amount is substantial, Mr. Presiding Officer.
Mahal natin ka, Pangulo, bagamat napaka-valid po ng katanungan, sa akin pong palagay ay wala pa ako sa posisyong makasagot ng bagay na yan sapagkat ang ibinibigay po natin sa ating punong ekutibo ay kapangyarihan pa lamang upang makipag-negotiate. Ang itinatadhana lang naman po ng batas is that we should secure our loan from a government financial institution. And we only have two, Land Bank of the Philippines and Development Bank of the Philippines. So siguro po, nagkaroon na ng inisyal ng aking pong pakiramdam, nagkaroon na ng inisyal na pagtatanong marahil at kaya po minabuti ng ating punong ekutibo na humingi ng kapangyarihan na mabigyan siya ng kapangyarihan na makipagnegosasyon, particular po sa DBP. At sa ating pong karanasan, pag may pagkakataon na sa negosasyon ay hindi magiging kaaya-aya at hindi maganda sa ating lalawigan, pwede naman po siya bumalik sa atin upang humingi ulit ng panibagong resolusyon para makipag-usap naman sa ibang pang bangko katulad ng Land Bank of the Philippines. Subalit doon po sa katanungan ng interest, that would form part of the negotiation, Mr. Presiding Officer. And with the indulgence of the good gentleman, I would not want to speculate kung saan mas mura. That would be the mission of our Chief Executive, Mr. Presiding Officer. Alamin kung mabuti at maganda ang termino na ibinibigay sa atin ng DBP. I hope that answers the concern of the good gentleman.
Yes, you may proceed.
Mr. Presiding Officer, with all due respect to our majority floor leader, I think we need to scrutinize and speculate this matter, Mr. Presiding Officer. Why? Because millions of pesos are involved in this particular transaction, Mr. Presiding Officer. And regarding the good opinion made the majority floor leader, I agree with him that the authority that we will give now to our Chief Executive Officer, to our beloved Governor, is merely to negotiate. At least, for the record, we have reminded the Executive Department that make a closer look or study in entering this financial obligation with DBP. Because some other institution might offer lower interest rate than DBP. But however, if DBP will offer the best amount of interest for such particular loan that will serve the best interest of our province, as I've said, I will support this resolution that being requested by the Executive Department, Mr. Presiding Officer.
Mr. Presiding Officer, if I may reply, I would like to assure the Minority Leader, Mr. Presiding Officer, na pag dumating na po sa punto na babalik na ang ating mahal na po ng Ehekutibo at ilalahat na naging resulta ng negosasyon at marahil ay kalakip na noon ang kahilingan na aprubahan ng umutanging halaga, I would assure the Minority Leader, Mr. Presiding Officer, that we will present to him a comparative study with DBP and Land Bank of the Philippines in order for us to really ensure that the best interest of the province is protected. And I would like to call the attention of the Provincial Budget Officer and the PPDC o ADIR na isama po yun sa ibibigay sa atin upang matalino nating matalakay at mapagpasyahan ang idudulog sa ating kahilingan ng pag-utang ang ating mahal na punong ehekutibo. Mr. Presiding Officer.
Yes, Mr. Presiding Officer. And last point of clarification, Mr. Presiding Officer, is item 2-A in our agenda. That is this item, wherein this loan shall be used and spent for public use. To it, for water supply system project in the amount of 1,400,000,000 pesos, Mr. Presiding Officer. I agree that water is very important to every human being. Yun nga kung huli kong tinalakay dito sa kapulungan ito, dun sa kinover nung isang media rito yung nag-viral, talagang napakarami pong nag-like at napakarami pong nag-views. At ito po ay isa lamang katunayan na sadyang kailangan ang tubig, hindi lamang sa lungsod ng Lucena, kundi sa buong lalawigan, Mr. Presiding Officer. Ang akin lamang kung gustong linawin ay saan po bang mga bayan ito gagamitin kung meron ng ideya ang ating majority floor at ang mga bisita natin dito. Ano po pa ang gagawin dito sa napakalaking halaga ito? Ito po ba'y pag-upgrade ng mga kasakrong tubo? Meron po bang gagawin dam? O may mga bagong itatayong mga water facilities para po sa kagalingan ng bawat mamamayan sa ating lalawigan, Mr. Presiding Officer.
Thank you, Mr. Presiding Officer. It's a valid concern, Mr. Presiding Officer, considering the huge amount being allotted. Ang pwede ko lamang pong iparating sa kagalang-galang na bukal mula sa Segunda Distrito na kung saan malaki ang suliranin sa tubig. I'm sure po the local chief executive has in mind na uunahin po. I do not want to, ayaw ko pong pangunahan, mahalating ka po. Sana po'y maunawaan ng ating kaibigan na ayaw kong pangunahan na baka babanggit po na ganong lugar, subalit hindi pala yung kasama, ay baka lang po malito at maligaw ang ating mga kalalawigan. Ang narinig ko lamang po muli sa aming pag-uusap ay tutukuyin po yung mga bayan na higit na nangangailangan ng tulong suporta upang magkaroon ng maayos na supply ng tubig. At ito po ay mabuti para sa ating lalawigan sapagkat unang-una po masasagutan yung problema ng pangangailangan ng mga negosyo, mga kailangan ng ating mga kababayan. At higit sa lahat po ay kakibat na rin yung kaligtasan ng ating mga kalalawigan. Sana po maunawaan ang ating kaibigan na I don't want to identify, bagamat meron po akong idea, baka lang po kasi in the process of the negotiation ay hindi mapasama. Ay baka po sapagkat tayo po ay live, Mr. Presiding Officer, ay baka umasa at magbigo ang ating mga kalalawigan. But definitely, Mr. Presiding Officer, the final request na ibabalik sa atin ng pag-utang na nga naman, o yung otoridad para mangutang, I'm sure po we will be appraised, Mr. Presiding Officer, kung anong mga bayan ang makakapakinabang at magkano at ano ang sasaklawin ng mga activities o improvements ng water system improvement, Mr. Presiding Officer.
Mr. Presiding Officer, with this explanation made by the majority floor, again, at this point in time, I already like to express my affirmative action or support in this particular letter, urgent letter made by our Chief Executive. But however, again, Mr. Presiding Officer, for the record, I'd just like to advise our majority floor that at least in the signing of this contract of loan amounting to 2.5 billion pesos, at least a member of this August body of Sangguniang Panlalawigan be a witness thereof, Mr. Presiding Officer, so that we will not be blindfolded in this transaction, very important transaction that will be entered into by the executive department. As stated in the letter, that will finance the implementation of various development projects for tremendous economic and social impact. And perhaps the majority floor may or must be present in that particular very important day in entering this contract, so that the majority floor or even the pro tempore floor leader, who is very also vocal in this particular caucus body, and even the Vice Governor himself, ang ating pong pinagpipitagang Vice Governor, ay maging kasama sa presensya sa pagpirma po sa napakahalagang kontrata hinggil sa kagalingan, kabutihan ng ating lalawigan. Maraming salamat po, Mr. President.
Maraming salamat po, mga Pangulo, and I would like to ensure the minority leader na ang kanyang pong kahilingan at ipararating ko sa ating punong ekutibo at makakaasa po siya na katulad ng ating napakinggan. You will be with me in paradise.
Thank you very much, Attorney. You are recognized, Honorable Fellowmen Tagalog-DZAT.
Maraming salamat, mahal na Pangulo. Nais lamang po itagdag ng representasyon ito ang ilang bagay tungkol po sa naging katanungan ng ating pong kasama, kagalang-galang buong talabong. Unang-una, dun po sa halaga o kung magkano ang maaaring maging rate ng interest, mahal na Pangulo, sa abot po ng nalalaman na representasyon ito, ang isa po sa mga determining factor para malaman kung magkano ang ipapataw na interest ay kung masasabi na po kung ano pong partikular ang mga proyektong paglalaanan ng nasabing pondo at kung gaano kahaba yung terms of payment na mapapagkasunduan. Kaya marahil hindi pa po alam ng ating pong majority floor, sapagkat doon pa lamang po dadapuhin ang mga pag-uusap kung magkano magiging interest, kung mapafinalize na po kung saan sigurado nang ilalagay yung pong mga, o gagastusin yung pong mga pondo na ating pong uutangin. At ang isa pa po, mahal na Pangulo, ay kung matatandaan po natin, ang ating pong punong lalawigan ay humingi rin ng kapangyarihan upang makalagda sa isang kasunduan na meron pong isang pribadong entity na mag-aaral o may kakayanan pag-aralan ang sistema ng pagpapatubig sa iba't ibang lugar upang na sa ganon hindi po mamali ang ating pong gagawing proyekto tungkol sa pag-i-improve ng patubig ng ating pong mga bayan-bayan. Marahil po, ito po ay makakatulong kung paano mapafinalize yung pong waterworks na ating pong i-implement para maging project. So, nais ko lang pong ibahagi upang na sa ganoon ay malaman po ng ating mga kasama rito. Mahalaga po. Salamat po.
Maraming salamat. Honorable, klaro talaga. Pero pa po gusto mo pa matatanong? Again, for the information of this body, the tenor of the letter is resolution to grant the government to enter into to authorize negotiate with the DBP. After which, as a matter of procedure, babalik pa rin naman yan dito sa atin and para malaman pag na-secure na nila yung mga necessary documents sa bilang GF, yes. Turn ka lang.
Mr. Presiding Officer, considering Board Member Jerry has already made some additional concern regarding the interest rate, can we put additional words in this resolution that we will pass? Instead of stating that the province will only enter into from contract of loan from DBP, let us take the from DBP or any other financial institution. Para nakakita po ako ng sa ating mga kontratang ginagawa rito ng mga nakaraan. Sapagkat kung let us say, mas maliit nga po ang interest sa land bank, hindi na po babalik rito ang ating ehekutibong departamento. Diretso na po kayo mag-negotiate sa land bank. Para po itong bagay na ito ay mapag-aralan o yung negosasyon ay mas magawa mabuti, Mr. Presiding Officer. Let us not just limit the authority of our governor entering such contract with DBP. Isagayin mo natin ibang financial institution, Mr. President, kung papayag naman po. Kung hindi naman po, okay lamang po. Sapagkat yung yung interest niyan, it does not matter po naman kung gaano matagal eh. Iisa po naman yan eh. Kung ano lang po yung offer, nung bangko, igiraman, Mr. President. Thank you.
1 minute recess, Mr. President.
1 minute recess.
Kain na na. Recess eh.
Tama na rin pala may.
Ha? Oo, recess. Kumuha na pala kain. Isa ng pili yan. Literal na nag-isip.
Resolution, Mr. Presiding Officer.
Session resumed, settle down.
Mr. Presiding Officer, after consultation with the minority leader, I move that we recognize the minority leader for an amended proposal.
Yes, Mr. Presiding Officer. After deliberation, brief deliberation with the majority floor and with the top executive department officials, Mr. Presiding Officer, there is a consensus that additional version from DBP or any other government financial institution, Mr. Presiding Officer. And this will make the power and negotiating power of the governor to enter into such particular contract to any other financial institution in support with this particular project, Mr. President.
Mr. Presiding Officer, the majority accepts the amended proposal of the minority leader, and if adopted, the same shall be reflected in the adopted resolution that we will approve.
Okay, thank you. If that's amenable to the majority, and as discussed earlier with the fiscal officials, it would not affect the requirements.
It will not affect, Mr. Presiding Officer, and as stated by the minority leader, it will give our local chief executive a more elbow room or latitude in negotiating, already be authorized to negotiate with other government financial institutions, including the Land Bank of the Philippines, Mr. Presiding Officer.
Okay, thank you. This is already an amendment.
Mr. Presiding Officer, is another amendment. The executive branch, as intimated by the provincial administrator, requests that the projects be included also in the caption of the resolution. It should not be attached, except that it is embedded na po.
Some part po, please specify which part.
Well, Mr. Presiding Officer, as we prepare our resolution, it would be before the signatures of before our signatures, Mr. Your signature and the secretary. It will be after the therefore resolution.
The projects that needed.
It shall be included, Mr. Presiding Officer, in the well assessed. I'm sorry.
Yung mga projects po to be funded.
Yes, sir. Yung pong proposed dito, naka-identify na po in the well assessed to be of the resolution to be adopted.
Also, hindi lang sa mga such as
yes, sir.
presented.
Ito po, this portion, Mr. Presiding Officer, this box portion, that will be the second amendment.
Okay. There are two amendments. Any comments? None? So, we take note po yung amendments. The motion insofar as the amendment is concerned is approved. Wala pa po yung sa motion para sa pangkalahatan. We're still entertaining questions from the floor. Would like more clarifications? Questions? Suggestions? Discussions? Objections? Amendments? So again, matuloy po yung kanina, hindi naman po nagtatapos yung trino. This is just a first requirement na para ho, yes, mapakakuha ng necessary for pertinent documents, and after which, babalik naman po siya sa kontrata na. Doon natin makikita yung mga more specific po yung nilalaman. This is a merely an authority to grant our governor to negotiate with DBP and other financial institutions as amended. Okay? So, hearing no more discussions, objections, and amendments, would you repeat the motion, please?
Mr. Presiding Officer, I have the honor to move for the adoption of a resolution to be entitled Resolution authorizing our provincial governor, Dr. Helen Tan, to negotiate, apply for loan and to borrow funds from the Development Bank of the Philippines and other governmental financial institutions to finance the implementation of various development projects for tremendous economic and social impact on the lives of Quezonians in the amount of not less than 2,500,000,000 pesos. The projects, Mr. Presiding Officer, to be included in the well assessed of the adopted resolution.
Thank you very much, Mr. Majority Floor. Again, any second to the motion?
Any second. It is unanimously seconded, Mr. Presiding Officer.
Duly seconded unanimously the motion for the passage of a resolution as stated or read earlier by the Majority Floor Leader is invited.
1 minute recess, Mr. Presiding Officer, to confer with our friends from the executive branch.
1 minute recess. Okay.
Motion to resume, Mr. Presiding Officer.
Session resume. Thank you very much sa ating pong mga ginagalang mga pinuno mula sa executive. Yan po kayo. Ibalik po yung kaping ininom po ninyo.
Mr. Presiding
Session resume.
Mr. Presiding Officer, ipararating ko lang po sa ating mga kasama sa sanggunian na tayo po inaanyahan ng ating butihing punong lalawigan para sa pagdinig ng ating budget. Ito po ay gaganapin sa October 25, 2023, 10 o'clock a.m. sa conference room of the provincial government.
Ano oras po?
10 o'clock po, October 25.
October 25. Wala ata kami. Kung sino po ang nandito, ano, maaari ko na.
Mr. Presiding Officer, I move that we re-adopt our internal rules.
Okay. Lifting of the suspension of our rules is approved.
Thank you, Mr. Presiding Officer. May we request the Secretary to please proceed with item number 3.
So, it provides letter dated October 18, 2023 from our provincial governor, Honorable Angelina Villaltan, and to the honorable members of the Assembly of Talagang for our Vice Governor, Honorable Anatep Alcala, respectfully requesting the Honorable Assembly of Talagang to conduct a joint session certified sergeant with the Assembly of the City Government of Tayabas for the passage of the following measures. Joint resolution for the determination of the contract of use of truck dated March 9, 2020, and joint resolution authorizing the provincial government to negotiate and enter into the use of truck of agreement with the City of Tayabas, and a joint resolution authorizing the provincial government to enter into a deed of donation with the City of Tayabas, and a joint resolution authorizing the governor and to negotiate and the addendum to the memorandum of agreement dated June 5, 2018 with the City Government of Tayabas.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Mr. Presiding Officer, with to guide us with the appropriate action, may we submit this for plenary approval, Mr. Presiding Officer. There is a request from the provincial governor that we have a joint session with the city or the Sangguniang Panlunsod of the City Government of Tayabas. May we submit this for plenary approval, Mr. Presiding Officer, for us to direct the Secretariat to prepare the appropriate joint session.
Yung joint session po ay dito gaganapin.
Opo.
Ang tentative date to the request.
Wala po nakalagay na sa silent.
And the same with required the Secretariat, especially to the legislative kung okay ba yun to the request of the executive to have a joint session or should be through the initiative of the Sangguniang, the votes of the
Mr. Presiding Officer, this is not probably a directive but a request from us.
Merely a request.
Yes, if we see fit to conduct a joint session. Because apparently, Mr. Presiding Officer, what is intended to be produced are joint resolutions. So we need to really have a joint session.
Okay, so we'll consider the letter of our governor and it is within the discretion of the Sangguniang whether or not to conduct the said joint session.
Yes,
so we will relay this matter to the Committee of the Whole.
May we submit the same for plenary approval, Mr. Presiding Officer, today? Para po kung mapagpasihan natin to conduct a joint session, the Secretary will be authorized to coordinate with his counterpart in the city, in the Sangguniang Panlunsod of Tayabas. If not, Mr. Presiding Officer, then we will not have a joint session.
Okay po. So we have to ask them one by one. Ano po gusto niyo? Raising of hands?
Viva voce, Mr. Presiding Officer, will do.
Okay, thank you. There's a request as ang bilis naman tumas. Ang kamay, di ba? Okay, you're recognized.
Point of clarification, Mr. Presiding Officer.
Yes.
Nais lang po malaman ng representasyon ito, bakit pa po ba kakailanganin yung joint session? Samantalang ito po mga usapin ito po ay dumaan na sa pagdinig ng lupon, lamang nagkaroon po na ibinalik po itong usapin na ito sapagkat meron pa pong kinakailangang pag-usapan between the city mayor and the governor. So, maaari po bang malaman na representasyon ito na kung naiayos na ng both executives yung mga issue na na-raise kung ito ay dininig sa pagdinig ng lupon, mahalaga na Pangulo?
Yes, Mr. Presiding Officer, if I may reply. Ang nangyari po nito ay, una na po itong dinila sa atin, dinilig po ito ng Committee on Laws. Subalit, lumabas po sa pagdinig na mayroong mga issues pa, substantial issues that are yet to be resolved by the executive branch. Kung kaya po ito ay malalang nating ibinalik sa tanggapan ng punong lalawigan, at sa huli po namin pag-uusap ng ating punong ehekutibo ay naparating po niya na naging maayos na ang pag-uusap, nagkaroon na ng kasunduan, at kakailanganin na lamang po ang legal authority, Mr. Presiding Officer, on the part of the governor to sign and for us to agree with the city government of Tayabas with regard to certain legal instruments, Mr. Presiding Officer. That is the reason why we need to adopt 4 joint resolutions, Mr. Presiding Officer, as contained in the letter of the Local Executive.
Mahal na Tagapangulo, meron po bang naipadala ng mga resolution o patunay na naresolba na yung pong mga issues na atin pong dapat ay pagtalakayan?
Wala pa pong naipadala, Mr. Presiding Officer. Kalaki po, mahal na Tagapangulo ng sulat, draft resolutions, Mr. Presiding Officer. At kung babasahin po natin ang sulat ng ating mahal na punong lalawigan, ang mga kalaki po na resolusyon ay kanya nang hinihiling na mapagtibay. So, the assumption that it is ang ating pong pangunawa dito ay ito po ay dumaan na sa proseso ng ugnayan ng dalawang local government units.
At napagkasundoan na po.
Napagkasundoan na po. That is the reason, Mr. Presiding Officer, why this is forwarded to us.
Nangyari ang agam-agam po ng representasyon ito, kung wala pa po yung mga nasabing napagkasunduan, baka doon pa po sa joint session na gagawin, magkaroon ng pagtatalo ang dalawang sanggunian, mahal na Pangulo. Subalit, kung meron na po namang pagkakasundo na pinadala o kopya ng mga pinagkasunduan ay magalang po pong hinihiling na mapagtibay na ang nasabing panukala na magkaroon ng joint session, mahal na Pangulo.